one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and good evening. I had the opportunity to read this proclamation, and I'll read it tonight. Whereas child abuse is an issue that affects all members of our community, and finding solutions depends on involvement among people throughout the community. Whereas child abuse prevention works when partnerships created between parents, practitioners, schools, faith communities, healthcare organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Whereas family-serving, youth-focused prevention programs offer positive alternatives for young people and encourage parents and youth to develop strong ties to their communities. Whereas all citizens need to be more aware of child abuse and neglect and its prevention within the community and be involved in supporting parents to raise their children in a safe, nurturing society. Now, therefore, I, Jerry Miller, Mayor of the City of Winona, do hereby proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Winona and call upon all citizens, community groups, religious organizations, medical facilities, and businesses to increase their participation in efforts to prevent child abuse and neglect, thereby strengthening the community in which we live. Just a side note, Winona is, well, we're blessed here. Winona State, through their Child Abuse Center, is really a nation leader in this. And I'm reading they are establishing other branches throughout the country, and we can be proud of that. And I think Victor Veith from Winona State is really probably the expert in the whole country on that, and we're very proud of what's going on over there. Today they had this the poster contest winners, and man, the women took over this year. There was one boy. The most unique, grades 3 to 5, the most unique was Taylor Frotsky. Most colorful was Maddie Surt, and the most creative was Ellie Gould. Grades 6 through 12, Caitlin Emberger was the most unique. Jordan Eppinson was the most colorful, and the most creative was Caitlin Goulden. Yeah, the boys took her in the chin this year. Okay, that's all I got. Judy, you got anything?
Yes, I do have some comments,
Okay.
Mayor and Council. It has become apparent that there have been some questions on the definition of words such as port, commercial harbor dock, and the Port Authority, and that's not clearly understood. So I'd like to give at least a better description of what those terms mean. The Port Authority of Winona refers to the unit of local government and the commissioners who make up that board of that organization. It does not refer to a specific location. The Port Authority of Winona operates within the city limits of Winona with the ability to operate in Wisconsin for certain activities such as water transportation. The commercial harbor generally refers to that area along Riverview Drive where barges are fleeted and includes both the commercial harbor dock and private businesses which operate docks as a transfer point for commodities, from ground transportation to water transportation. The word port could also be thought of as the commercial harbor area, but would also include the whole riverfront of Winona. The commercial harbor dock is a public dock facility owned by the Port Authority of Winona and leased to a private business to operate the dock for commodity shipments on the Mississippi River. The Port Authority commercial dock is a small percentage of the tonnage handled in the harbor. In 2010, over 192 tons of commodities were handled at the commercial dock compared to 1.9 million tons in Winona. We are only a small portion of the river activity that exists. There are private businesses which operate along the riverfront in Winona outside the commercial harbor, transferring products from ground transportation to water transportation. Those continue to operate. The fleeting operator, who has a license with the Port Authority to do all the switching of barges from the fleeting areas and the docks along the whole riverfront, it includes building and breakup of the tows which come into the commercial harbor area. No fleeting operations are allowed outside of that commercial harbor along Riverview Drive. Drive because it conflicts with other river users. There has been some expressed confusion regarding the application of the moratorium to the commercial harbor. The moratorium applies to the commercial harbor except for the Port Authority-owned commercial dock facility, which has been handling frac sand in the last 2 years. The moratorium also applies to all mining operations within the city of Winona. Those are my comments.
Okay, thank you, Judy. Monica, call the roll, please.
Mayor Miller.
Here.
Councilman Thurley.
Here.
Craig.
Here.
Alexander. Here. Salyards. Worshakowski.
Here.
White. Here. Under the required public hearings, item 2.1, the public hearing on the issuance of healthcare facilities revenue refunding bonds for Winona Health.
Okay, I'll open that public hearing and ask if there's anyone present wishing to speak to the issuance of healthcare facility revenue refunding bonds for Winona Health.
Good evening. I'm Cindy Telstad with the Streeter Murphy Law Office here on behalf of Winona Health. I'm hoping I'll make it through this. I don't usually sound this way. I'm a little voice challenged tonight. So for that reason, I'll keep it short. The proposal is for refunding of bonds that were issued in 2004. The 2004 issue was used primarily for expansion and remodeling of the hospital facilities and for construction of the parking ramp out at the Winona Health campus. The amount of the new issue that's being requested is up to, or not to exceed, $20,500,000. The use of the issuance of the new issuance would be for the purpose of refunding the bonds, establishing a debt reserve fund, and paying the costs of issuance. As is noted in the in your packet, the funding is conduit financing. It is financing that is not an obligation of the city. The obligation is the obligation of the Winona Health entities. The bonds are secured by security interest in accounts receivable. There is also provision in the lending documents for a negative pledge, which is an agreement by the Winona Health entities to not encumber the real estate. And there's also a provision for a springing mortgage, which creates a mortgage in the event of a default situation. The reason for the request is to enable Winona Health to obtain the refinancing on more favorable terms than are available under the existing bonds. It will result in a cost savings to Winona Health, which of course is a benefit to Winona Health and its related entities, but it's also a benefit to, of course, our community because it allows for the continued availability of local health care here in the Winona and surrounding areas. So Winona Health appreciates certainly the city's willingness, as it has evidenced in the past, to support these kinds of projects, and is requesting that the council approve the request that's being made tonight. Mike Allen, the Chief Financial Officer of Winona Health, is here if there are any nitty-gritty questions about the proposal, and I'll field any questions that anyone may have.
Okay, Cindy, thank you. Are there any questions? No questions. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the issuance of healthcare facilities revenue refunding bonds for Winona Health? Anyone else present wishing to speak to the issuance of healthcare facility revenue refunding bonds for Winona Health? Anyone else wishing to speak to the bonds refunding for Winona Health? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. And Council, what is your desire?
Your Honor, I move to approve the request. The
Moved by Debbie. Is there a second by Michelle? Questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, which is to approve the issuance of healthcare facilities revenue refunding bonds for Winona Health? All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Item 2.2 is the proposed code amendments to City Code for Chapters 32, 42, 43, and 69.
Okay, I'll open that public hearing and and ask if there's anyone here wishing to speak to the proposed code amendments to City Code Chapters 32, 42, 43, and 69. Anyone wishing to speak to the code amendments to City Code Chapters 32, 42, 43, and 69? Anyone present wishing to speak to the proposed code amendments to City Code Chapters 32, 42, 43, and 69? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And what is your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Moved by Debbie, is there a second?
Second.
Mark, can you give us a little bit, just a quick shot of what we're doing here? I'm sure we all read every word.
Tell you about without saying anything. To kind of summarize what we're doing here with this is that currently, as everybody understands, I think we have what we call a sensitive land development ordinance, which is included in our subdivision ordinance. In the last 5 years, we have adopted a number of other provisions relating to various environmental issues, bluff protection, shoreline protection, stormwater management. So we have a number of other ordinances outside of our sensitive land development ordinance that are kind of driving the protection of those particular environments. What we're trying to do with this ordinance, or what we hope to do, is to first of all pare back the sensitive land development ordinance since its original development in the late 70s. It's bulked up a little bit, and so what we're doing first of all is kind of stripping away a number of those regulations that are included in that ordinance. Second part of that would be to import from these other code sections, bluff protection, shoreland, stormwater management, provisions, regulations that should be included in the sensitive land ordinance. So what we're trying to do is to end up with one set of standards. And those standards would evolve from these other ordinances that we recently adopted versus creating those, defining those standards within the sensitive land ordinance itself. So it's complex, but what we're hopefully trying to do here is to make it, to streamline the sensitive land development ordinance a little bit, and I think it'll be a better product for us in the end.
Okay, anyone have any questions, Mark? Michelle?
Just so I'm clear, does this affect the subdivided plats that are not currently built on? It's all the same, it's just moving things around a little bit to make it more cohesive and understandable? And
that's correct. I think it is important to point out that we're not creating any new standards here. We're just kind of moving standards from other places to the sensitive land ordinance. To answer your question, it would not affect those subdivisions that have natural state areas in them that have been approved up to this point in time.
it would be the new ones coming on.
Anything new.
Because I just looked at the blue here and I just wondered what that actually meant for that lot.
Right.
So it affects any new subdivided land, but current ones, because they were...
It would, and if you look at the examples that we included in your agenda package, the impact of the standard that we're looking at right now would have been fairly significant, much more so than simply the concept that we use right now. So it is a more restrictive standard in terms of bluff protection anyway.
Debbie?
I just wanted to make note, included in, for this agenda item, there is a copy of a correspondence, email correspondence from Bill Huber, I believe of the DNR. He's the area hydrologist, and he reviewed these amendments to the shoreline ordinance he said are in compliance with statewide standards for shoreline management. And he agrees with your assessment, Mark, that these revisions will improve natural resource protection in Winona. So I know there was a lot of work over time to do all of these, and
yeah,
really appreciate that.
The Commission's been working on this off and on for a couple of years, actually, right. And the letter or the email from Mr. Huber reflects the fact that because we're making a couple of small changes to our shoreland ordinance to make them consistent with our bluff protection ordinance, basically, we have to have that input from the DNR. So we did ask for that, and they did provide it.
Right. Which is good news. Thank you.
Yeah, just a point of clarification, we're introducing an ordinance, not approving a resolution.
Yep. That Shorman should be introduced for adoption. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor of the proposed code amendments to City Code Chapters 32, 42, 43, and 69, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Under petitions, requests, and communications, item 3.1 is to renew the license agreement with Winona State University for the banners on Huff Street. The one change is that the license fee has been increased to $100 a year.
I'd move to approve the attached agreement with that change in fee.
Okay, moved by Al, second by Michelle. Questions? Debbie?
Question, how does that usually work, Monica, when, if other organizations want a banner on those poles, for example? I know we went through that with the historic downtown Winona banners.
They have to work with Winona State, being they have the agreement to put them up. They deal with Winona State for that.
Okay, so that's through, because I was originally a little bit a part of that. I just want to make sure the public knew that was through the generosity then, because we do have an agreement with Winona State that if other entities maybe want something, that they would have to work with Winona State. All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor of the motion, which is to renew the license agreement with Winona State for banners, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Item 3.2 is a request to eliminate the 2-hour parking on Hamilton Street north of 2nd Street.
I would move to approve the attached ordinance.
Moved by George,
Second.
second by Jerry, I think.
Jerry,
Okay.
yeah.
Questions or comments? This is the one that came up down there around the high school, I think, right? Okay. Okay, questions or comments? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Mayor, excuse me, what, this is down on Hamilton Street.
Hamilton.
By RTP.
Oh,
Right.
by RTP. We did the other one
Yeah,
last.
we did.
Yeah.
All right.
That was
All right,
Gilmore
okay.
Avenue.
Okay, this was the request to eliminate 2-hour parking on Hamilton Street.
Correct.
Okay,
Between
that
front
passed.
and second.
Okay. Thank you.
Item 3.3 is a request to close Lake Park Drive by Windcraft on Saturday, July 28th.
Move to approve that request.
Moved by George, second by
Second.
Debbie. Questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, which is to approve the request to close Lake Park Drive for Windcraft. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Item 3.4 is a street closure request by the Winona County Sheriff for Baby Angel's funeral on Saturday, April 7th.
Move to approve the request.
Moved by Debbie. Is there a second? Second by Michelle. Questions? The street is Lafayette between 5th and 6th on Saturday the 7th. Okay, questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, which is to approve the street closure request by the sheriff. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Under unfinished business, item 4.1 is a wastewater treatment plant award of bid for the lift station number 4 valves and pump replacement. The low bidder was Winona Mechanical with a bid of $90,183.
Move to approve the attached resolution
Moved by
awarding
Jerry.
Winona Mechanical.
Moved by Jerry, second by George. Questions? Came in under the bid. Al?
I have a question. How old is the existing pump that's being replaced with this bid?
I can't tell you exactly how old it is. It's probably in the neighborhood of, been there since the 80s.
Okay.
So it's well due.
So, and the one we're replacing it with should last as long as, if not longer?
Right. The biggest part of this project really is the putting in the valves. The outflow pipes have no way of shutting them off at this point, and we have to do that as part of this project. And then for replacing the one pump, so in putting in, we can replace any pumps in the future much easier. So that's really the largest portion of the project.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor of the motion, which is to approve the award to Winona Mechanical for the pumps and valves. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Under new business, item 5.1 is the polling places for the 2012 primary and general elections.
Move to approve the list of the polling places.
Second.
Moved by George, second by Jerry. Questions? Are they the same?
They are the same
They
as
are the
2010.
same. Okay. All those in favor of the motion, which is to approve the polling places for the 2012 elections, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Item 5.2 is the introduction of revisions to the alternate side parking ordinance.
Move to introduce the attached ordinance.
Moved by Jerry, is there a second? Second by Michelle. Questions? George?
And just one question now. The angle parking, that of course would be exempt, correct? Then what would they do like on Market Street here? You know, that's, you know, they use the whole road with their angle parking. That Market Street would not be exempt, would it?
The way it's written right now is all Angle Street would be exempt.
How do they plow that then?
The property owner's responsible for that. The city would plow, you know, if it's on that side of the street, you'd plow behind the vehicles, and the property owner is responsible.
Then they clean up in between.
Typically, if they're, you know, the vehicles are there, they'll try to go the other way and not block in the vehicles.
I was looking at places like the Winona Athletic Club. They have, you know, it's more or less like to be up on the boulevard. Rosie's would be the same way. If I figure Market Street being the whole street, but that would also fall under this then. Okay.
We ain't worried about Rosie's, right? They take care of their own now. Al, you got a question?
Yeah, no, just a comment. You know, earlier when we had first talked about these changes, there was a fourth element for no parking during the alternate side period south of 61. That is not a part of what we're addressing tonight. That was a good idea from a staff perspective, but as both George and I and maybe other people on council heard, it wasn't a good idea with the residents who called us.
Yep. Okay, any other questions? All in favor of the motion, which is introduction to revisions for the alternate side parking. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, carried.
Under council concerns, item 7.1.
Okay, we'll start with Al tonight.
Hang on here, I got to get to the page. I want to wish my grandson Preston a happy 6th birthday on April 7th. Thank the fire department for their annual report, which we all received, and I'm sure it's available here at City Hall and at the fire department, and I'm sure at the public library. And I want to wish everybody a happy Easter and Passover.
Okay, thank you. Jerry?
Nothing saving.
Michelle? Debbie?
I was going to ditto, absolutely. They did a great annual report. They do every year. It's really, they do a lot of work, the fire department, to put that together. Kind of a little bit ahead of time, but maybe we'll do another reminder that Earth Day is April 21st, Saturday, April 21st, 12 to 5. It's going to be held at Unity Park here in Winona. Just two ideas, some information, possibly suggestions for staff that I read about. 2012, this is the 40th anniversary of the Federal Clean Water Act, and they have a Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation for the month of April. Mayors can participate. It's an online. They can go online support. They can get details of the program there. But the challenge requires no additional staff time or costs to cities and will be promoted in USA Today and other local and national news media. And I do have the website I can give to staff later, and if the mayor is interested, and it gets the community involved in how much we, having clean water and conserving water is really important to us. And the last piece, this is taking place actually in Mesa, Arizona, or has taken place. It's a volunteer program. It's on their city's website. It's called Helping Hands Building a Better Mesa, where the volunteers are recruited and supervised by city employees, and they also have information, for example, like volunteer hours equates to dollar value of service to the city, and apparently it's been very, very successful, and particularly in times when everybody, a lot of entities, particularly last few years, have been having to cut. You know, we rely on in a lot of many different ways with the great value from volunteers and others in the community as well.
Okay, George?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. County Engineer Dave Kramer has announced that there will be a public information meeting open house regarding the County Road 17 reconstruction roundabout project within the city of Winona will be held on Thursday, April 12th at 6:30 p.m. at the Winona Middle School Auditorium out on Homer Road. The purpose of the public information meeting open house is to introduce the contractor and the county inspectors that will be present on the construction site, to present information on the construction project, including schedules and detours, to hear any concerns and to answer questions. Anyone interested in this roadway project or comment is encouraged to attend the open house. And just one comment I want to make on that That's what the meeting is about. It's not about should we do the project, why are we doing the project, and the money for the project, all that. The project is a goal. The county has approved it. The city will be participating, so we'll be on the construction of the project. So just to keep that in mind when the meeting goes on that night. And also, I'd just like to pass condolences on to the family of Isabel Chelmusky. Isabel, into her 90s, very long-time East End resident, spent many hours of serving the Basilica of St. Stanislaus Church, and just a kind lady, and always willing to help, always had a smile, and always just willing to listen to you talk. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, George.
Under the consent agenda, there are 3 items. Approval of the minutes for March 19th, the final adoption of an ordinance to amend the 30% rule, and a claim against the city by Excel Energy. I would note that I do have proposed corrections on the minutes under council concerns from Councilwoman White. The additions are underlined, and if you would like to include those in the minutes, if you could just make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Okay.
I move to approve the consent agenda with including the minutes as amended.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Al. Questions? All in favor of the consent, which is the approval of minutes as amended? 1 ordinance and 1 claim. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, carried.
Mayor, I move to adjourn.
Moved by Jerry.
Second.
Second by George. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried. Well, that's pretty good.
It's interesting. Saw this Jerry.